welcome to another show. Don't get this twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host as always, Tina. How you doing, teeners?
I'm hanging in there, but life is real right now.
Right. We're all just getting by.
Fuck, life is real right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. On a lot of levels. Like we talked about finances last week, and like finances are still like, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
You know?
It definitely is.
Yes. I went to the grocery store this morning. I just kind of ran out to the grocery store because we didn't go on the weekend. And and I got like chicken, and I got a big whole huge thing of toilet paper. So you have to kind of like throw those in there. But it was like 4 bags and it was $100. It's like, man. And again, I know like the toilet paper was probably, 18 or $20, and the chicken was definitely like 17. So, you look at that, but even so, I was like, wow. So since before we got on here, we were talking, speaking of finances and service and such, you wanted to talk about tips. And I thought, hey, I didn't know where to go with it, but I think I do now. And since the market value of things these days is insanely up, right? So we are definitely, we're paying a lot more for everything, right? For groceries,
eggs, for
gas. Gas went up 8 cents overnight.
Yeah, what the hell was that all about?
I don't know. Thankfully, so I took my dog to the dog park, and there used to be this there's an AM/PM on the corner, like right next to it. And for the longest time, it was $3.99. So I would literally like wait all week and then go on the weekends because I was always taking him. So, I went on Saturday, $3.99, went on Sunday, or I drove by Sunday. It was $4.07. So overnight, It went up 8 cents. Although this morning, the place over by my work is still $3.99. But I have a feeling
that's good because I paid $4.79. Coming back from Big Bear, it was $4.79, and we thought we got a deal.
No. To be fair, like right off the freeway by my work, $4.80.
Yeah.
So, it's, and I heard it's worse other places. I heard
it's
downtown
$4.95
LA.
over here too.
I heard downtown LA, it's like, almost $6.
Yeah.
And they said it's by next year, it'll be $8 in California.
And why is that actually?
Because they're shutting down 2 refineries because the tree huggers of California they can't refine gas here. So they're just going to shut them down. Yeah. Get what you pay for.
Yeah, our tax dollars at work. Gotta love it.
Well, get what you vote for.
Yeah.
You keep voting these wacko tree huggers into. Not to sound horrible, but I mean, look, we're gonna get gas either way. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of silly, and I'm sure that there's people who listen to the show are gonna bash me, but so be it.
And what?
Gotta club a baby seal every blue moon.
Oh, Jesus.
So not really, but so you wanted to talk about tips and what you saw. Well, say what you saw, because I haven't and there's a Mexican food place down the street from us, and I'm going to look because I'm going to look next time. But say what you saw.
That they, when you're paying with your card and you want to do a tip, it says 18, 22 or 25%. And I was like, it was the worst freaking service we got. I didn't get what I asked for. I had to chase around another waiter just to get water. It was just a shitty. The guy wasn't completely listening because we had to ask again for a couple of things, and he was all over the place and had enough time to talk to the people. I was sitting there waiting for food to come out, but couldn't fill our water glasses, or I don't know. It was just horrible. And then we get up there, it's like 18, 22 and 25% that they want. And I was like, I wouldn't have given him 15. And that's what was supposedly like a really good tip at the time.
Right.
And it's going up so much that I've even seen as much as 25% on those super machines. And then I think, why would I want to pay a quarter more to pay these people to bring my food when it should be included in the price of the food? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, yes.
That we have all this extra going out, and it's you get to it's one if you go to a fast food restaurant now, everything is, do you want to tip the person that the cashier? You want me to tip the cashier now?
Right.
Get the fuck out of here.
Right. I mean, it's almost everywhere. I see tip jars all over the place. Look, um, at the end of the day, it's a service industry.
Yep.
And look, we can argue living wages and that they work on tips and they have a very small hourly. I can get all that stuff. I've worked in sales where I had a very small front end and a very huge bonus, where now I have a very large hourly and a very tiny bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is going to change, which my job, I may have to find another job. So, but that being said, like, you get into the industry you get into.
Right.
Right. So, when I was an alarm technician, I worked by the hour. For every hour I worked, I got paid. So, and if I worked overtime, I got overtime. Or if I worked double time, whatever it was, I got my hourly, which, I wouldn't say it's a trade because I didn't have to go to school for it, but it's a trade, right? Because I'm a low voltage alarm technician. So if I left where I'm at right now and I went back to that market, I can probably ask a very good amount because I have time in.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't get tips. I got tips. Sure. Generally it's because I did something outside the scope of my work. Like I helped them out real quick and changed batteries and smoke detectors, whatever. Or where I work now, since I work in wholesale, someone had came one time and we loaded a bunch of TVs in their truck and they gave us a tip. Awesome. Doesn't happen very often. And it's generally like, hey, here's a 20. Like, oh, cool. That's awfully nice of you. Or and these days now I can get lunch myself for $20.
Right.
Where in the old days, we would, two of us could go get. But I think that, look, if you're in a service industry, awesome, then you better give really good service.
Right. And that's another thing, like the people that are in the service industry that are supposed to be like happy and attentive and everything, you would think that they would work at that. But these people, they don't even smile. They don't even say, you're welcome. I'm sick and tired of hearing, what is that? They say, of course. No, of course. Quit that shit. Like,
right.
And they're,
if it was, of course, I wouldn't have to ask you.
Right. And the funny, exactly. And the funny thing about it is they don't smile. They don't get your order right. They forget things. They look at you like you're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's just crazy.
Now I will ask you, because I'm going to throw this question out. Do you feel that the older servers are better than the younger servers?
Yes.
Do you think that's because
they have a personality? Yes.
Well, yes, that's one of them. I mean, to be fair, like my kid has a personality, but, and he's 22. So he does, like, it's out there. I think the other thing is, and look, I'm going to say something that I'm sure is going to ruffle some feathers. But that being said, I think that the older servers just understand that if you bust your ass, you'll make bigger tips.
Right.
Where I think some younger folks might think that they should just get a tip regardless.
Yeah, no.
Right. No, but you know what I mean? So I'm kind of throwing that out
See,
there.
and well, that's the thing is like, are we at a point where we have to, because the generation that got the trophies are now the ones serving us food. So are they automatically owed a tip for shitty service? Or should they learn how to act with people and get the tip that they deserve? So, because now that they're asking for 18 to 25%, I'm like, now I'm really going to tip by how you did.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Because it
I
should
think,
be that way. I shouldn't be bullied into paying 25% more for my meal because you're not getting paid enough. That's not my problem.
I mean, truthfully, you shouldn't tip at all. You don't feel like you
Exactly.
got good service.
I got shitty service the other night when we got into Big Bear, but the hostess was super sweet and came up and was just talking and here, I'll get you guys some water. She's really busy, but she'll be right over. She tried to like buffer it. I wanted to just give her a tip, but
Right.
I paid with cash and I forgot to put tip on the table because of her. I went back and put the tip on the table, not because of our waitress. Our waitress was like an asshole.
Right.
But
look, I think in that kind of industry, and let's just stick to food services, like a meal place, before I shit on other places. I believe like food servers, it is a tough business where, and I'll give you an example for like me and you. We've been to many Denny's together.
yeah. Yeah. Or Chi-Chi's Pizza.
Or Chi-Chi's. So, and generally, with the exception of Chi-Chi's, we generally go to those places when it is packed because we do breakfast. We don't go to Denny's in the evening and
Right.
get breakfast. So I can understand there's a long line and it's hard. So if I see you busting your ass, I will give you a tip, even though
even if you got forgotten about.
Yes, because of the craziness where like me and you will go to Chi-Chi's and it will be, well, and if, for people who don't know, it's a pasta place in the San Fernando Valley, which is, if you listen to episode 1, we talk about it.
It's good.
It's super good. So my thing with there where like if we go at lunch, they are super attentive. Even though it might not be very busy, they're on the ball. So they have a very good supervisor who they don't sit around when the food comes up. They're there to serve. They're generally always sweeping the floor, like, and I mean sweeping the floor by going to table, not physically sweeping. Yeah. They'll go and they'll hit all their tables. So they're good. And we tip them well.
Well, so here was another, we do tip them well, but we like the restaurant. We don't want them spitting in our food. So there's that. But I was also, when I came back from Big Bear, my friends wanted to go out to eat. So I went out with one of my friends. We went to a sushi restaurant in Northridge, and it was right by the mall. And it's a place I don't normally go to, but one of the friends that I went with to Big Bear said, hey, this place is really cool. You should go, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. So we go there, and this lady is screaming at one of her workers. And not only he walked away to try to calm her, to stop the drama. And she walked up to him and started screaming at him again. Now, mind you, this is before we even got our water. And I'm going, I don't know I don't know if I want to eat at this place. Like, go, if you got a problem with one of your staff, go in the back and yell at them there. At least, that way we don't have to see it. Correct. But I felt for this kid. So I was like staring at her, like kind of disgusted because, I was being a bitch. And when she looked at me, I made sure she saw that I was disgusted with what she was doing. So then she comes over and then she was like, extra sweet. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't do that either. Just quit being an asshole. Like, can you just act right? That would be perfect for me, but anyway, she ended up not coming back to our table and had the guy that she bitched at come to the table. And we were really cool with him and I tipped him pretty well. So, but maybe she was justified. Maybe I shouldn't have been, the asshole that tipped extra just because I felt bad that she was just You don't talk to a man like that. And he was younger, I get it, but still, like, women should never talk to men like that, even if they are the manager. They should have a better approach to talking to anybody, let alone somebody. She was emasculating him, and I didn't like it. It bothered me.
I don't like when they do things in front of people on the floor. If you're a good supervisor, you'll take it to the back
Yeah.
and you will discuss it back there, because I don't want that ruining my dinner.
Right.
Because now in my head it's, oh God, and this isn't it. And then you end up talking about it at the table, and it takes over what could have been a very nice evening, and
Yeah.
takes away from that. So I have issues with that. Um my bigger thing, and this is where I will kind of go down it in a different industry. If I go to a place that, like Starbucks, and the first thing they do is they turn the old thing around for the tip machine. It's like, why am I tipping you? You're
Yep.
making my coffee. You're not making it any better or faster for me. It's in a line. Like, my ticket comes up, you do your shit, and then you hand me my coffee. You're not going out of your way for me. You're doing your
Right.
damn
You're
job.
exactly.
No different than, the McDonald's worker who, my order comes up, they throw it on the thing, they bring it to your table. I mean, and I don't mean to sound horribly mean, but that's like, though, that's a hourly service industry that, and mostly like fast food now, they're making $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, and again, is that a living wage? No, but fast food jobs weren't supposed to be.
And in California, they're not going to be taxed, or that's not California, that's federal.
So
They're not
it,
going to get taxed on their tips.
correct. If it ends up getting signed, it's still, they're still fighting about it on the floor in Congress, but it's going to end up getting signed. So they won't get taxed on tips. Um, Hopefully no tax on overtime. So that will also be kind of nice. So yes, so their lives will change. So if you're in a service industry and you get paid on tips and they're not going to tax you on it, you should be busting your ass, because
Right.
that's 100% profit. That's a bonus. It'll turn into a bonus, kind of like more where like tattooers, where if you tip your tattooer, obviously, you know, a lot of that is cash anyway. So you're not,
Right.
so you're, it's 100% bonus. But, that's where I kind of have the thing with tips. Like, I've been to a donut shop where it has a tip, and I know that software is built into a lot of those machines. Turn it off. Like, because to me, it is kind of offensive. Like, because they look at you like, are you going to tip? Are you going to tip? So I'm the dick that goes, no.
Right.
No, not on a coffee. I think that's absurd. I shouldn't pay you a tip on that. And I'm sure I'll get heat over that. But, you know, kind of like me, just because I load something into a truck doesn't mean that you should tip me. That's my job. I'm doing that because I get paid hourly to do that. So,
And if, you should, like, I was always told, my job being a hairdresser, you put the tip in what you're going to cover or what you want to charge, because if you do that, then you're going to have the money that you want at the end of the whatever you're doing for them. And if you're good, they'll pay it.
correct.
But you shouldn't rely on it. I mean, there's been times people don't bring enough money to tip. There are times people just will give me $5 for doing two people's color cut and blow dries with a weave in it. Like, which is insane, because that's like not getting a tip at all. But I've been getting tipped the same way by the same people for like, it feels like forever, but like 30 years maybe.
Right. Yeah.
So you just have to know that that's how it's going to be with the person, and don't hold it against them. That just is what it is. But you shouldn't be obliged to tip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You build it into the business. You build it into whatever the cost of the item is. So,
Right.
I'll give you an example. At least, I mean, I've worked with a tattooer for a long time, and generally I piece a, so I don't pay them by the hour. Most guys have
Mhm.
an hourly. I say, look, you're going to do this piece. How much for this piece? Does you know how big it is? How long do you think it's going to take? And I'll tell you, I got a very large tattoo on my leg. When we were there, he said he goes, nah, that's pretty big because I have huge legs. And he goes, it's going to be about $1,300. And he goes, it should take about 6 hours. Oh, cool. That's fine. Then he's building in what his profit is and what he thinks it's going to take. It took 5 hours. He made extra money.
Mhm.
So and to me, that's what I paid him. I didn't tip him. Why should I tip you? Tell me what it's going to cost. Tell me what you want to make on this. That he got it done sooner is his tip,
Mhm.
because he could fit now another, small tattoo into, because now he has an extra hour. So that's how I looked at it. Now, you know, not that I don't tip tattooers if I think that it's, if it's well worth it, but it, look, it's a, but if you're working by the hour, if you're working by the hour and you're charging me 150 an hour and you do it in less time, I'll probably tip you, because now it's worth it because you're saving me an hour's worth of labor.
Yeah.
It's no different than when I was on alarm tech. If I go out there and they think the job is going to take 5 hours and I do it in 4, you know, we would charge, like, let's say a service call. So a service call was $85.85 an hour. So if I went out there and they said, look, it's probably going to take 4 hours because we have to go through all this, blah, 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 and I do it in 3, I save them money because they're only charging them what it
Right.
is. So look, there's something to that. I just think that there's some of these industries are getting out of control with the tipping. Like, again, food service, I understand it. That's hard. You're carrying around plates all the time. You have tables of, between 2 and 20. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine
I don't think there's still, it's not that hard.
no, but what I'm saying is I can understand the stress level of like, let's say, again, when we go, it's easy. You have 2 people, a 2-person table is probably the easiest. Maybe 4, it doesn't get out of control. But when you have, like, and I've seen big ass tables like at Chi-Chi's, like 25 people, that's got to be pretty gnarly,
Yep.
and you end up, I'm sure your other tables in that zone end up getting, crappier service. Not that it's right, but you know, but I guess, sometimes they'll have other servers help, and like, and mostly on big, big tables.
Right.
I just think it's getting out of control where the percentage that they're going to start asking for in a economy that is not well,
Right.
right? Or being repaired is the better way of putting it. It hasn't been well in 6 years, if we're going to be perfectly honest. COVID killed a lot, and then the last 4 years I've been up and down, you know, um, and now obviously with a new president, it's going to be a slow haul to get the economy under control.
Mm-hmm.
So to be asking 25%, I mean, I'm going to be really honest. I never look that far over on that tip machine. I look at the left side. I and I see what that is, because I generally, unless it's very, very, very good service, um, I stick with about 15% because I think that's fair. Um, and again, like I said, if it's a bigger table, I try to tip myself, right? So I look for, like, let's say there's 3 people in my party at a bit much larger, I look at it and go, okay, there's 3 of us. We're going to pay 15%. And then I hope that everyone else pays their 15%. So that tip ends up being pretty gnarly. It's not
Mm-hmm.
15% on, the $300 bill, it's 15% from each person. So they end up getting we've been at a table where we tipped fuck ton.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like to I like to tip. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm just saying, like you said, getting a coffee, 22% is on the coffee ones. Get the fuck out of here.
right.
Or for making, if I go to a pokey and I just go and I get it to go. Like, it's not like I'm staying there. It's not like anything.
Exactly.
And yeah, they got like up to 25%. I'm like,
Right.
for her to squeeze my food into a ball, get the hell
Yeah.
out of here. Like,
Or just put it in a bag.
yeah.
Yeah, that I do have a problem with that too. If you have a pickup order, if you're going to pick up an order, they shouldn't even ask you. That shouldn't even be, that software should go, oh, it's a pickup. Oh, it's a pickup. Because what are you doing? You're picking the bag up that someone already put all the shit into and handing it to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Now,
nah.
if you're getting in your car and you're delivering, that's a different thing. I get that, but like, I don't know. I'm just looking around going, does anybody else see this? And is anybody else wondering about this? Because
Right.
I'm looking at it like, are you insane?
I definitely think people are looking at it, if we're being perfectly honest. I know
But why
several
is
people.
everybody fallen victim to it? Like, nobody's standing up for this. Nobody's really saying much.
Yeah. We do it at my work, but look at like Uber Eats or those type of things.
They
What?
charge a fuck ton.
Oh, it's out of control. Like,
Yeah.
it's out of control. The prices that you pay in the store to they're like way more, like
Way
$1
higher.
more. So like your
And then they
hamburger is
have
going
a
to cost that.
delivery fee.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a something else fee.
And then a
Then
tip.
they also have a place for a tip. By the time you're done, it's like an extra $20 easy.
Yeah. I've paid for what would be a meal, like, entree, fries, and a drink, like $16. Because where my work is, it's very difficult to get in your car and drive someplace. It takes so much time.
Right.
So by the time you drive to a fast food place, it's like at least 15, maybe 20 minutes, because we're like in between these two freeways. So it's like by the time you get there, you can't sit, and it's a lot. So,
Yeah.
I can understand why we Uber or we do Uber Eats or whatever some of those other things are. I do my best to meal prep. So I'm the same person who eats like chicken and broccoli every single day, that they think I'm a weirdo. But
I think you're a weirdo.
right. But that chicken and broccoli for the week, if I pay, it's like $15 for the chicken and, maybe $3 for the broccoli. I eat for $25 for the week, not for a day.
Right.
So there's a lot to meal prepping. And if you do it right, you can save a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
So, but again, if you don't like eating the same thing every day, I can see why it could be a problem.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I would be so over. Well, I can't eat broccoli anyway, but I would be so over.
Yeah.
Eating at all. I would throw it away.
It's hard. For me, it's just sustenance. So I put like 2 chicken thighs and a thing of broccoli or green beans or beans, whatever the side is. And I'll just eat it real quick and I'll be done and I'll go take a nap. And I've learned that lunchtime is the boring part of the day. So like I'll come home and I'll eat a meal. Like I'll eat something. So I've just started now looking that dinner is the fun part. And
there you go.
Lunch is just sustenance. It's just to make it through the day and to save money, because it really does. And I don't have to tip anyone. I tip the server because that's me.
Right? Tip this. No.
Yeah, exactly. Only the tip. But
solo la punta.
Yeah. I get it. And I think that, and again, I hate to sound horrible because I don't want to shit on the people who work off of tips, like bartenders. That's can be a rough job as well, where you're busy and you're, and people want service quickly. So tip your bartender. I believe in that. But also, like, again, do it the right way. Like, should you be throwing, fives and tens down every time someone brings you a drink that the drink is already overpriced and has not much alcohol in it?
Well, I think that when you have a server that's getting tipped out like that, you're getting alcohol in your drinks.
Uh, Generally, um, I've been at different places. There's a bar down the street from me that pours so heavy that you only need two.
Yeah.
So sure, you can tip them because you're gonna be tipsy, like, and I mean heavy, like to the point where like I had to ask for a side of mixer.
I had to do that on Saturday. We woke up late, so we went to go get something to eat, and we were having brunch, and I ordered a Bloody Mary, and then I had to order like a side of tomato juice because I was fucked up from one drink.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this place down the street from me, gnarly. I
See, I
mean,
don't drink
gnarly.
normally, but so I was just thinking it was me being a baby,
Mhm.
but maybe they just pour real hard.
Yeah. Now, and look, here's the thing with this is like a little watering hole. It's like a bar that's in the same parking lot as a Wiener Schnitzel. So it's, you know what I mean? Like, so it has like one pool table and all the locals go there. It's an interesting place. I went there with some friends and and like it's loud. And for someone who loves loud music, if I go to a place, I want to be able to talk to somebody.
Yeah, me too.
So there's also another one within walking distance of my house. And I've only been there. I've never been there late at night. And I heard that it's podcast worthy at night.
Let's go. We need
So
to do this.
this girl I was telling her, I said, oh, I live right next to that. And she goes, oh yeah, you need to go there at night. And I was like, really? Because I've been there during like, but anytime before maybe like 6, and it's generally an older crowd and it's a cool crowd. It's a sport. They have sports on and it's a nice place and it's cool. And they make decent drinks, but they're not cheap. Where the
Mhm.
watering hole down the street, the drinks are cheap and they pour heavy. So dangerous. It's like DUI checkpoint. I'm sure that it's like fishing in a barrel at this place down the street. It's like, because people got to be leaving there hammered. It's pretty bad.
So we need to have a Saturday night at this place you're talking about.
Yeah, because this girl said that like you just go in there because like and just people watch basically. Is basically was the she's like go in there and just hang out and watch everyone. You'll come up with something for the podcast. And I was like, oh, and didn't even go past that. She's just like, yeah, you should just go check it out. I was like,
Oh,
okay.
we must go.
Yeah. So, it's mostly young people, I guess, at night, which, we can just take my kid over there and he can be the young guy. And, or I
Let's do it.
I can always ask my friend's son. They both drink now. And here's the best part. You can walk back to my place. That's how close it is. It's like walking. It's like 4 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah. So you don't feel bad.
Because I never drink. So I'm always the one that drives after we go out. But I'd still go and sit out and people watch and do all that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Well, you can just sober up at my place.
Yeah. You do that too.
Yeah. It's so for me, I understand that part of it. Again, if you have a good server and they're attentive and they're right on, I will tip you every time. But I think what you're saying is the other part is getting out of control. A donut shop, a coffee place, a fast food place. It's a little much. I guess a small business, I would probably still help, like a little pho place. If you walk in, you run in and it's small and they're trying to, it's like a mom and pop business. They're trying to keep it open. I would probably tip there.
Yeah.
But I'm not tipping it like Starbucks. I'm sorry.
But they should be good servers too. When I go to the nail place, I get I get my nails filled and I get a pedicure. And everybody, it seems like when I see people tipping, they'll tip for like $5. That's what they give them. But I have two girls, one working on my feet, one working my hands. They each get $10. I like up to that during COVID, and it's been that. And they've actually said that you're a really good tipper. And I'm like, I am? Well, yeah, if I'm charging you $35 for a pedicure and you're tipping me $10, that's almost a third of what,
What it
you're
costs.
paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really thought about it. I just thought these people are touching me.
Right.
And their energy is good. I want them to keep touching me. I want the energy to still be good. I want to get my service done. And I don't want to feel like, creepy.
Do they do they do a good job though?
Oh my God, every time. And I don't always go in with an appointment. I try to, but sometimes I flex my princess muscles because they let me go in and just sit down and get started on me, because I was one of the original people that started going to this place when it was brand new and just opening.
Mm-hmm.
I worked down the street and I didn't like the girl that did nails in my shop. So I sent everybody down the street to this other place. And so because of that, I get special treatment, and they comment on it that they give me special treatment because I've sent them money, like a lot of money over the years. Sure. So yeah, I get special treatment. It's kind of nice. I like it there.
Like you'll get fit in.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And
they fight over, and I'm like, you guys want to touch my feet and do all that? I'm not that person, but go ahead, do my feet. But they literally do fight. The girl that does my nails, she's one of the few people that does them. So she just always knows she's taking my nails. But the toes, the girls actually fight. They're like, no, you're fun and you're easy to please. And I was like, and you tip well. Okay, that's it. No problem. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of, I don't know. If I know the person, if they're touching me for sure, they get a good tip. But if they're not touching me and I like it, that's going to be a different story. But I just don't see why it's got to be so much. Like, since when is the average to tip 25% of your meal?
It's crazy. 1/4 of your meal that's a bit much.
Yeah. Because the other night we went out for lobster. We both had lobster and artichokes and potato, and we had a sampler. Like the tab was over $200, and I tipped another $50. But this woman was on it, and everything was perfect, and it was just, the music was good, the ambiance was good, and she was just on it. Like if you ordered for anything, it seemed like it was already coming out of the kitchen before she got back there to get it.
Right.
Those are the nights when but that was a hefty tip. That was 25%.
Right.
So, or was it?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Well, if it was over 200, then it's a little under. But let's say it was 200. Yeah. 50.
It was still a huge tip. Like she was like, hey, thanks.
Yeah. And that's a good night for one table,
One table, and it was it wasn't like people were banging down the door to get into the restaurant. She had a full area. But this one table was big, and we just sat at it. And
it's really weird too, because I heard that, and again, I've never been in that industry, so to be fair, I heard that they share it with like everyone, like all the tips go into like a big fund, and then they do the person who cleans the table, and then if they order alcohol, that goes the bartender gets a piece of that as well.
Right.
So, which is, very difficult to me to look, if you're, and I get the person who cleans the tables off, they're busting their ass too. But where, should it be even? Should they get an even portion of that tip? Did they, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand where like it could go sideways very quickly.
Right.
Because if you're out there and you're the one, pushing the food and getting it and, running your ass off, and the bartender may have a slow night is now going to make a very large percentage of your tip. Well,
I don't know that bartenders ever not get a big portion of tips because a lot of they work a lot. If I go with my friends that I refer to as the crazies, and the bartenders freaking going crazy just with our orders, just
Yeah.
with ours. Like, cause they'll start drinking and just pounding it. Hey, can you send another one over here before, she just dropped your drink and now
Right.
you're ordering more. So from our table alone, I mean, a waitress that has to serve us, she works her ass off. But by the time they're done drinking, they're tipping out huge. Like
Right.
they've been they've been they've been going at it.
Look, I think that, and again, I don't want to shit on the people who do this stuff because that's not what I'm trying to do.
No.
I understand it's definitely a hard thing, a hard business.
Yes.
Um, should there be a little balance? Sure.
Yes.
Should there be a
Absolutely.
bigger hourly and maybe not have to worry about, 18%? Sure. I
Yep.
think that there is something about that. And like some people will never tip you regardless. That's just who they are. It's how they believe. I get it. So yeah, you could be working a table and working your ass off and get zero. So there is a balance there. Like I think that there should be something.
Well, the zero probably comes in more than we even know though, too. I'm sure if you get a bunch of kids at a table, they're not going to really be tipping you. I know that I forgot to put the tip on the table. That could have been, a zero tip for them. Not that I meant to, but that,
Right.
that happened. I had to run back in. And they were
Yeah.
actually surprised when I ran back in. I said, "Oh my God, I forgot to tip you." But because they could see through the windows, I was walking down the side of the restaurant and then, oop, I got to go back.
Right.
But
Yeah, I'm sure it happens. And I would love to know if, leave comments on our social media. I'd like to know if there is a very large percentage of zero tips.
yeah, I don't know. You know, I think more than not tipping, people are leaving bad Yelp reviews or Google reviews or I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of that lately too because every time we wanted to go to eat, let's check the reviews, let's see how it goes. And there were some restaurants I was like, yeah, I'm good not eating there.
Yeah. I,
So
I've definitely, so I don't have it on my phone, but I have it on my iPad. I don't even know why. I was looking for a restaurant for some reason. We were going to go, or I was taking somebody there. So now it pops up all the time with like, hey, do you want to go with this? Or hey, do you like barbecue? And like all these things. So now I'm like looking locally
yeah,
for places and
you
yeah,
got some good places in your area too, by the
yeah,
way.
there's some really good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. And all over where I live, there's
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
and it's not just the
There's
city
way
I live
more
in.
than the valley here.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you go down like off of Ventura, there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, forget that. You can't even park.
That's the problem. Where
Yeah.
where I live, there's suitable
There's
parking.
parking for
There's suitable parking
everybody.
for everything. Yeah. And a lot of it, like, there's a lot of really cool places in malls here.
Mm.
Like that we have an outdoor mall here that's really cool. So, um, yeah. So there's there is something to what we're talking about. I would, look, I believe in tipping your server. If you're getting good service, give them a great tip. Should it start at 18? I think we're really going to start pissing people off if that's what you do. I think you should start at 15, like generally most places used to do in the past. And then you leave it in the direction of what kind of service I got.
Yep. I don't know. They just gotta start. They gotta start being realistic. I'm not gonna pay 25%. I mean,
Yeah,
are you
you're
gonna let me
right.
do shots off your navel? Maybe I'll give you 25%
All
then,
right.
but
Well,
I don't
and like I
know. I'm
said,
not even into that. So
I'm not doing it for coffee. I'm sorry. Like there's
yeah,
just,
no.
the next thing you know, we're going to be tipping 7-Eleven.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
We'll
it's
be tipping
getting,
ATM machines.
yeah, for giving us our own money.
Yeah.
It's so, there's something to that. I think we as clientele, because that's who we are, if you believe in good service, and we come from a service industry, we've both worked in service industry for a long, long time.
Our whole lives.
Yeah, pretty much our whole lives. You know that if you bust your ass, you're going to get something. 90% of the people that if you work hard, you're going to get something. There's always going to be 10% dicks. There's just, that's just how it is. And, but I think if you're one of these people who just think you should get it because you showed up for work that day,
you got another thing coming.
You're going to live a very long, miserable life because you're going to realize that people do not give two shits about that.
Exactly.
So, I think that's all for today.
I think so too.
And
that's a good thing I gotta go to the restroom.
I gotta eat. I'm starving. So check us out on all these social medias. I don't have to say them anymore. I think you can, all the big ones.
Y'all got that.
Spotify, Apple, and pretty much every damn place you can listen to this show. And we had some people in China.
Hey, welcome.
I know, pretty wild. So keep listening. And it's an opinion show. Don't get it twisted. Keep coming back every Wednesday. I'm Rob. That's Tina. We'll see you in a little while. Bye.
See ya.